What does it take to never lose a battle? Not once, not ever. This is the story of a man who stood on both sides of history and still became one of the greatest legends to the Islamic faith and Muslims around the world. This is the story of Khalid ibn al-Walid. He was a warrior whose name alone made empires tremble. Khalid ibn al-Walid never lost a single battle across his entire life. Yet his story holds both dazzling victories and troubling shadows that still spark debate today. He was born around 692 in the bustling city of Mecca. His family belonged to the powerful Makhzum clan of the Quraysh tribe. From childhood he trained hard with sword and spear, riding across the desert sands until he became one of the finest horsemen of his time. You see, his world revolved around tribal honor, fierce rivalries, and the constant call of battle. Khalid grew into a man who lived for glory and courage above all else. At first he stood firmly against a new faith spreading through Mecca. A man named Muhammad preached belief in one God and unity among the people. Many Quraysh leaders saw this as a direct threat to their traditions and trade profits. Khalid joined the fight against these early Muslims with all his skill. His sharp mind and bold charges often turned the tide for his side. Ask yourself this. Could you imagine pouring your heart into a cause, only to later embrace the very thing you once fought to destroy? His first major clash came at the Battle of Uhud in 625. The Quraysh army marched on Medina to crush the Muslims once and for all. Khalid led the cavalry on the right flank. The Muslim lines held strong at the start and pushed the enemy back. But when some archers left their posts early to seize spoils, Khalid spotted the opening in an instant. He swung his riders through a narrow valley and struck the Muslims from behind. Chaos broke out. Lines collapsed. Many Muslims fell under his lance that day. The Quraysh claimed victory largely because of his quick thinking. Yet, even in that win, Khalid witnessed the heavy cost in blood on both sides. This battle revealed his military brilliance early on, but it also left deep scars. Families on the Muslim side would remember those losses for years. 2 years later, at the Battle of the Trench, the Quraysh and their allies surrounded Medina with a huge force. Khalid again commanded part of their cavalry. The Muslims had dug a deep trench to protect their city. Days of skirmishes followed with arrows flying back and forth. Khalid probed for weak spots, but found none that worked. The siege dragged on until the allies lost heart and withdrew. He learned valuable lessons here about patience and the power of smart defenses. You see, even setbacks sharpened his edge for future fights. Khalid kept opposing the Muslims for a while longer. Then something profound shifted inside him. Around 629, he rode to meet Muhammad and declared his conversion to Islam on the spot. The Prophet welcomed him warmly and gave him the famous title, Sword of Allah. Imagine the courage it took to switch sides so openly. His old allies now branded him a traitor. Yet Khalid felt certain this was his true calling and he threw himself into the new cause without hesitation. His first real test as a Muslim came at the Battle of Mu'tah in 629 near the Byzantine border. 3,000 Muslims faced a far larger Byzantine and Arab allied force. 3 commanders fell early in the brutal fighting. Khalid stepped up, took charge and rallied the men with steady words. He used clever maneuvers to keep the enemy off balance, and when a safe retreat became the only option, he led a disciplined withdrawal that saved the entire army. Legends say he shattered several swords in the fierce combat. Muhammad praised this stand from afar. Khalid had turned a potential disaster into an honorable escape, boosting Muslim spirits across Arabia. After the Prophet passed away in 632, many Arabian tribes rebelled against the new caliph, Abu Bakr. They refused to pay the required charity or followed false prophets instead. Abu Bakr called on Khalid to restore order in the Ridda Wars. Khalid marched with a small but loyal force into the heart of the rebellion. One key clash was the Battle of Buzaka in 632. He faced Tulayha, a self-proclaimed prophet leading the Asad and Ghatafan tribes. Khalid positioned his men with care. Some enemy groups defected before fighting even began. Others broke at the first charge. Tulayha fled, but his alliance shattered. Khalid secured the whole Najd region with this swift victory. His growing reputation alone started swaying tribes to surrender. However, not every moment brought pure honor. During these campaigns, Khalid captured Malik ibn al-Walid, who was a clan leader who had accepted Islam but later withheld the charity payment. Some viewed this as rebellion. Khalid ordered the executions of Malik and his men. Then he married Malik's widow almost immediately. This act caused a storm of outrage. Umar ibn al-Khattab protested loudly, calling it unjust and hasty. Abu Bakr defended Khalid, saying the chaos of war made the situation unclear. The incident stained Khalid's name for many. It highlighted a ruthless streak in his leadership. Muslims at the time argued that his drive for quick results sometimes ignored mercy and proper process. Ask yourself this: does battlefield brilliance excuse every harsh choice made in the fog of war? The most intense Ridda fight came at the Battle of Yamama in 633. Khalid confronted Musaylima the liar and his strong Hanifa tribe, numbering around 4,500. Khalid brought a similar-sized force. Early assaults failed. His Bedouin allies proved shaky, and their weapons broke easily. He made a tough call, sending the unreliable troops to the rear and then relying on his core fighters. On the fourth push, they broke into a walled garden, where savage hand-to-hand combat erupted. Musaylima fell in the melee. Victory came, but at a terrible price, with heavy Muslim losses. Khalid signed a treaty with survivors allowing conversion and surrender of arms. He punished some villages afterward with severity. This battle unified Central Arabia under Muslim rule. Yet the bloodshed and his firm methods left lasting resentment among some families. With Arabia now steady, Abu Bakr sent Khalid eastward to challenge the mighty Sassanid Persian Empire in Iraq. He crossed the desert with roughly 1,000 warriors, mostly nomadic Arabs. The Persians held vast lands and professional armies, but Khalid moved with breathtaking speed. At the Battle of Walaja in 633, the Persians fielded a much larger force with heavy infantry. Khalid drew them into the center and pretended to be weak, then he unleashed hidden cavalry from both flanks in a perfect double envelopment. The enemy lines crumbled under the surprise attack. His men pursued and won completely. This triumph opened the way to the important city of Hira. Khalid accepted tribute from locals and treated them with fairness, showing he could balance conquest with wise governance. Another grim clash followed at Ulris by the river. Persians and their Arab allies made a stubborn stand. The fighting turned savage, earning the dark nickname River of Blood because of the heavy slaughter. After victory, Khalid ordered executions of many prisoners. This harshness reflected the brutal customs of the time, but it added to growing criticism of his methods. Some saw it as unnecessary cruelty that went beyond what the faith required. You see, his successes came with a darker side that divided opinions even among his own people. Khalid then achieved something extraordinary at the Battle of Firaz in 634. He faced a combined Persian and Byzantine army near the border. The enemy believed their numbers would crush his smaller force. Khalid struck before they could coordinate fully. His riders hit hard and fast, scattering the allies in confusion. This win proved he could handle two superpowers at once, and it filled his men with unbreakable confidence. Abu Bakr soon called Khalid to Syria to face the Byzantine Empire there. He led his troops on a daring desert march, enduring thirst and exhaustion, yet arriving ready for battle. In Syria, he took overall command. One pivotal fight was the Battle of Ajnadain in 634. Byzantine forces met the Muslims in open ground. Khalid coordinated flanking moves and relentless pressure with other commanders. The enemy broke and fled. Pursuit opened more gains in the region. These victories weakened Byzantine hold on Palestine. The greatest test arrived at the Battle of Yarmouk in 636. The Byzantine emperor sent perhaps 80,000 troops against Khalid's roughly 36,000. The odds seemed impossible. Khalid chose strong high ground near the river with ravines guarding his flanks. For days the armies clashed in waves. He used pretend retreats to lure the enemy into traps. His cavalry harassed their lines without mercy. When the Byzantine left flank weakened, he struck with full force, enveloping them from the sides. Muslims seized the only bridge, cutting off any escape. Panic swept the enemy and many fell into ravines or drowned. The rout was total, with massive Byzantine losses. This masterpiece victory opened all of Syria to Muslim rule. Historians still study Yarmouk as one of the most brilliant battles ever fought. Khalid mixed patience, defense, and sudden counterattacks, turning numerical weakness into total dominance. Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, who succeeded Abu Bakr, admired Khalid but grew uneasy. Reports reached Medina that Khalid divided war spoils by giving extra shares to nobles and poets instead of strictly aiding the poor migrants as ordered. Umar worried that soldiers and tribes were starting to follow Khalid more than the faith itself. He feared a dangerous personality cult was forming. In 638, Umar ordered an investigation in Homs. No corruption was proven, but Umar still removed Khalid from supreme command, placing Abu Ubaidah in charge instead. Khalid accepted the decision without protest. He told his troops farewell and stepped aside. Some viewed this as unfair, after years of unmatched service. Others praised Umar for keeping the community focused on God, rather than any one man. Khalid continued serving as a lieutenant in later fights, helping capture cities like Homs and Aleppo. But his days of leading vast armies were over. In his final years, he lived quietly in Homs, focusing on family and prayer. Illness came in 642. On his deathbed, he reflected with honesty. He admitted resenting some of Umar's choices at first, but later saw the justice in them. He entrusted his will to the very caliph who had dismissed him. Khalid passed away that year. Umar grieved openly and prayed for mercy on his old general. His mother called him braver than any lion. Khalid had fought over 100 battles without a single defeat. He helped unify Arabia and shatter pieces of two mighty empires. His legacy shines with real brilliance. He was a tactical genius who used speed, surprise, and terrain better than anyone of his era. His desert marches saved countless lives through clever planning. After converting, he showed total loyalty, turning potential defeats into triumphs with calm leadership. Many rank him among history's greatest commanders. His strategies influenced warfare for centuries, and he expanded the Muslim state faster than anyone expected. At the same time, his life carried clear flaws that cannot be ignored. His early killing at Uhud brought death to men who later became his brothers in faith. In the Ridda campaigns, his executions and the Malik affair struck many as overly harsh and self-serving. The river of blood at Ulris and prisoner killings raised questions about mercy in victory. His spoils distribution fueled accusations of favoritism. Even his dismissal highlighted how his fame overshadowed the greater cause. Critics then and now point to these moments as proof that his ambition and ruthlessness created unnecessary pain and division within the community. Families still carried grief from his actions. You see, greatness often walks hand in hand with controversy. Khalid was no flawless hero. He was a complex man whose choices in the heat of war left both admiration and resentment behind. His story reminds us that true leaders are never simple. They rise from fierce opposition to become legends, yet still face judgment for their darker decisions. Khalid ibn al-Walid changed the course of history with his sword and his faith. He proved one determined fighter could reshape nations. But he also showed that every triumph carries a price, and every legend holds shadows worth remembering. Pause for a moment and think about your own path. What would you do when old loyalties clash with new convictions? Khalid's life answers that question in ways that still echo across the centuries.
Thanks so much for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think or what topics you'd like to see next. Also remember, sip and subscribe. The button is down there, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on new content. Stay awesome, stay hydrated, and I'll catch you in the next one.